The purpose of this video blog is for me to explain how I went from someone who knew virtually nothing about human trafficking to someone who constantly bombards her friends and family with information about the subject. When I learned that I could enroll in a class entirely dedicated to this subject, I knew it was a unique opportunity that I could not miss out on. Reflecting back on that decision, I'm so grateful, for I now believe that more classes such as this and similar education to individuals in my generation can help stop this horror and create awareness about the demand and how we potentially influence that. When I look back on this class in a few years, I think the main experience I will acknowledge is the reverse sting at Panera. This was definitely the most impactful thing I've taken away from this class. I arrived at Panera understanding what the objective of the sting was, but I did not realize how I would feel when I was observing this happening. It's one thing to study and hear stories about human trafficking from a secondhand perspective, but witnessing a legitimate scenario was an experience that I could not have prepared myself for. Seeing this attempted transaction occur right in front of my eyes and right in the heart of my community left me feeling sick to my stomach, but with a hardened sense of reality. We truly cannot ignore these occurrences because they're happening within plain sight. Overall, the Panera sting illuminated an aspect of human trafficking in a way that I could not understand before: the demand for commercial sex. The man who answered the advertisement looked like someone I could see in an office, classroom, or grocery store. He drove a car I see all the time on the streets and was dressed in clothing that my dad and brother both own. I could not fathom what drove him to wait at the hotel to illegally purchase sex. This confusion was escalated when he agreed to sleep with this woman despite telling him that she was underage and coming off of drugs. There was such an untold side of the story that I continue to cling onto while watching this man attempt to purchase sex. Some of these demand factors we discussed in class came to mind: emotional detachment, pornography use, negative attitudes towards women, a broken marriage, or even addiction. I wanted to understand his narrative, and I was watching him attempt to do this horrid thing, but at the root of my repulsion and confusion, I just wanted to know why. Along with that, it made me consider how there are few regulations on demand. We discussed this difficulty of prevention in class. Some of the reasons for this include conflict of interest amongst those in power, machismo culture, and limited resources. After watching this man attempt to commit this horrible act, I felt a sense of disappointment and anger that there was virtually no way to prevent this from happening. There was no way for any of us there in that present moment to prevent it. It made me consider ways to help outside of the moment. How could I get involved with presenting these situations? As I reflect back, I walk away, still looking back on the reverse sting and wondering how this could have eventually been prevented. I think about the demand and pull factors of sex trafficking and the purchase of sex, and feel as though this class has really given me the tools to share information and stories with others, and in this, doing my part to create awareness about this horrible act.